And now your Idaho real estate news.
Listings. What makes it valid and what is a future listing? This is Mike Johnston, contributing editor for Idaho Real Estate News. What is a valid listing? Idaho Code 54-2050, Brokerage Representation Agreements, Required Elements, says, all real estate brokerage representation agreements, whether with a buyer or seller, must be in writing in the manner required by Section 54-2085 Idaho Code, and must contain the following contract provisions. Number 1, seller representation agreements. Each seller representation agreement, whether exclusive or non-exclusive, must contain the following provisions. A, conspicuous and definite beginning and expiration dates. B, a description of the property to be bought or sold that sufficiently identifies the property so as to evidence an understanding of the parties as to the location of the real property. Nothing in this section shall be construed to require a legal description nor a metes and bounds description of the property. Provided further, a representation agreement shall not be held invalid for lack of a legal description or a metes and bounds description. C, price and terms. D, all fees or commissions, and E, the signature of the owner of the real estate or the owner's legal, appointed and duly qualified representative, and the date of such signature. So if a listing agreement is missing one or more of these required elements, is it not complete and not a listing? I would argue yes. If you do not have all the required provisions, then it is not a complete or a valid listing. So when is a property actually listed? On the RE-16 Seller Representation Agreement, Exclusive Right to Represent, provided by the Idaho Association of Realtors, on line 1 there is a date, and then under paragraph 3, lines 24 through 27, there is term of agreement. The term of agreement paragraph states, quote, the term of this agreement shall commence on blank and shall expire at 11:59 p.m. on blank unless renewed or extended, end quote. The term of agreement has a definitive start and end date. It shall commence on such and such a date and shall expire at 11:59 p.m. on such and such a date. What is the date field on line 1? That is typically the date the document was drafted. The last page of the contract, where the signatures are placed, has the dates the parties to this contract agreed to all of the terms specified in the agreement. The latter date of the signatures is when the parties have acknowledged and have all mutually agreed to the terms of the written contract. So, can the parties agree to have a property listed at a future date and not have any responsibilities until then? Can the property be marketed, and if so, when? The parties can agree to the listing timeframe to begin in the future. It starts when the term of agreement commences, but that is when the listing is official and is in effect. For example, if the property is currently listed with Real Estate Company A until Thursday, and Real Estate Company B has a future listing that starts on Friday, Company B can't put up a sign before Friday because they don't have it listed. Same thing with Company A. They must remove their sign by Thursday because it is no longer listed with them on Friday. We can't advertise unlisted property. So attempting to advertise the property outside of the time frame, is it permitted? No, we can only advertise listed property. So can you talk about it to others? Not really, because that would be considered advertising. You are promoting it to others, and you do not have an active listing. Do not advertise unlisted property. What if you have this future listing and it sells or gets an offer before your listing goes into effect? Consider the example above with Company A and Company B. If an offer came in while Company A had it listed, is there any reason for Company B to take the listing once it has an offer? If it sells before your listing goes into effect, then you don't have a listing to market for sale anymore. It is under contract. This is one of the downsides to taking a future listing or having a listing sign that goes into effect at a future date. There are legitimate reasons to have a listing timeframe start in the future, but listing a property that may not start for a long period of time has its risks and downsides. I often hear real estate agents say that they have a property listed, but it is not going live until a future date. They say that they're going to get pictures taken, have the property staged, etc. A few concerns with that would be the obligations that the listing agreement says is to be done. It doesn't say, in writing, to wait to begin marketing of the property. It doesn't say wait to enter into the MLS, or wait to put up a sign or lockbox. When the property is listed, we need to be doing everything we can to get it marketed and sold in a timely manner. The Idaho Real Estate Commission has provided guidance to all licensees on this subject. In Guideline Number 8, revised in May of 2020, found in the Idaho Real Estate Commission's Idaho Real Estate License Law and Rules, July 2020, they discuss off-MLS and coming soon listings. Quote, Number 1, marketing too soon. Idaho Code 54-2050 states that all representation agreements must be in writing. In order to advertise a property for sale, the brokerage company must have a written listing agreement signed by the property owners. This is required before placing a sign on the property and before any marketing activities begin. This includes properties to be marketed on and off the MLS. A property owner's verbal agreement and promise to pay you a fee if you can bring them a buyer, but refuses to sign a listing agreement is not a listing. Remember, the sellers must sign documents giving the broker and or agent permission to commence marketing in any fashion. Number 2, failed agency duties to a client. When a brokerage is representing a seller, Idaho Code 54-2087 subsection 4 requires the licensee to promote the best interest of the seller client and to seek a buyer to purchase the property at a price and under the terms and conditions acceptable to the seller. Agency duties are mandatory and may never be waived or abrogated. Those duties are violated when the licensee does not act solely in the client's best interests. End quote. It further goes on and talks about the Realtor Code of Ethics and MLS rules, multiple listing service. It states that we, quote, must have the seller's informed consent in writing to not place it in the MLS or hold it out as coming soon, end quote. Quote, it is acceptable to withhold listings from the MLS at the express direction of the seller who may have a personal interest in limiting the exposure of their property, end quote. Quote, coming soon listings are proper when all interested buyers must wait to see the property once the coming soon phase is complete, end quote. Some MLSs have a form that must be filled out if marketing does not begin immediately. This form discusses the pros and cons of the property not going live immediately and authorizes the brokerage in writing that they authorize them to wait. This form is normally submitted to the multiple listing service as well. The Idaho Real Estate Commission has found that licensees are out working with potential buyers and sellers on a daily basis, and the broker they work with is required to supervise them. Part of supervision is knowing what it is that they are doing and what contracts they are obligating the broker to. Idaho Code 54-2051, subsection 3 states, quote, upon obtaining any document signed by a buyer or seller, a sales associate shall provide a true and legible copy of such document to the designated broker or broker's office prior to the end of the next business day, end quote. So these future listings, a document signed by the seller, shall be provided to the designated broker or broker's office prior to the end of the next business day. If they are not, then the sales associate, the licensee, is in violation and could be disciplined by the Idaho Real Estate Commission. This has been another segment of Idaho Real Estate News. If you found this article useful, please share it with others. Subscribe by adding us to your Alexa Flash Briefing or by sending us an email to johnston@micro.com, johnston@mykro.com. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for more insights on forms and other real estate topics. For Idaho Real Estate News, I'm Mike Johnston.
Idaho Real Estate News is updated weekly.